Don't ruin the intro that's playing right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Artifact Podcast, Episode 9. SUNSfan here with Slacks and Swimmy, the not quite as zoomed in as usual, but still quite zoomed in compared to the rest of us.
This is my normal level of zoom.
Swim, you're doing great. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't let the haters hate. Just keep living life the way that you want to.
If you would like, I can literally just lean backwards.
No, it makes it worse.
Get a nice casual aesthetic here.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Lean back, tilt your camera down a little bit.
Now, the funny thing is, most people that consume, I'm going to say, this podcast are audio listeners only. So they're going to be quite annoyed when they hear myself echoing, which I can hear again through somebody's microphone. It's probably
you hear it
still
now?
Slacks. Test.
It's not
No,
me.
we're good.
How can
We're
it be
good.
me?
All right. Anyway, what are you? Let's begin the podcast since it's been a while. What have you two been up to? Let's start with Slacks because, to my dismay, he just doesn't respond to my messages. Like this conversation that we've had in the last 2 minutes is the most I've talked to him in 2 weeks. He doesn't respond to me.
That's not true. I called you a week ago just to check in on how we were doing. We talked for 4 hours to do fails of the week, and you're like my wife, but a worse version.
Slacks, you never check in with me.
I mean, he just nags. He's just a nag.
So that's the secret. I just have to nag you.
No, I mean, I don't want to talk to him because all he ever does is nag about how I don't talk to him, how I don't love him anymore, how our relationship has lost the passion, and it's pissing me off. Woman, I want to do my own thing.
I'm sorry. I'm very sensitive. So what have you been up to, Slacks, the past since we last saw you on the podcast?
Oh, geez, not much. I missed that last podcast, your post-We Play one. Enjoyed it. Besides that, just been playing a lot of Artifact, a lot of Dotes. A lot of Tarkov and chilling. I'm in my period in between events, so just mad. It's almost like a depression. I just wake up and play as much as possible, knowing that in a month or two I will be working every day. So just gaming, bro.
All right, before we move on to Swim, I need to ask, because for people that don't know, when he's on, for some reason, he just doesn't understand how to use Discord or how to disable this. So we're in meetings. In the past, since I haven't talked to him in a while, but in the past, we've been in a lot of meetings, and he pretends that he's listening, but he's not. And you look on Discord, and he's always playing this Tarkov game. Can you tell me what your obsession with? Artifact gets released, Dota 2 has a huge patch, yet I still see you playing Tarkov. What is this game, please?
It's just, it's a fun, Dota players, we're matchwists. What do you call it? We like playing Dark Souls. We like playing Tarkov. We like a very hard games. Artifact, the ones that punish you, that brutalize you, like an evil parent. So it's just like that. It's just a mindless grind game. Even I like to mindlessly grind once in a while. I have a fun time, and I won't explain anymore to you, sir. And maybe. If you ask me not what I'm doing, but how I'm doing, I'd talk to you a little more, SUNSfan.
All right, I don't care. Swim, what have you been up to the past couple of weeks, buddy?
I think basically just the same as all the rest of the Artifact content creators. I've been kind of rethinking my life decisions.
What? Swim!
Huh?
Don't you do this?
How's that process going for you?
I'm feeling pretty good about it, though.
Tell us why.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird part of my life, just trying to decide kind of how I really want to proceed, and I'm just happy I'm doing what I enjoy.
Do you have faith? It's like we're in a cult now. That's what people feel. It feels like people's perception of us, the people that still are supporting this game, even though it's super early on, mind you, they think that we're in some cult or we're getting paid to say, I like this game.
Yeah.
Do you guys not understand how
this
Dude,
Jesus Christ, I wish they were paying me to shill for this game. Holy shit. People are always like, Slacks, you fucking shill, talking about Artifact.
Hey, dude. Slacks, I heard you're the biggest shill.
I fucking wish. Holy shit, I wish they were paying me. Do you know how much fucking money I would make by now if they were paying me every time I mentioned fucking Artifact? Oh my God. God, somebody work that out, all right? Please let me shill. I would love to. No, I just like the game. I don't know, man. I'm going to let you guys talk for a bit, and then I'll wrap up about how I'm feeling about everything. because I got a.
Well, this wasn't technically part of the agenda, but Swim just keeps bringing up his life decisions and whatnot. So I want to hear.
Oh yeah, that's
what
true.
he thinks. Like, how is this process going for you? You're fine now.
Yeah. No, what? The game is obviously gonna grow. I think it's gonna be a pretty slow growth. The biggest thing for the game is gonna be when it hits free to play, which is like, I'm guessing it'll be in a year or like 18 months, probably at the latest. But
really?
I think, yeah,
you want
the game will have free to play. Well, I mean, everyone does, right? Is there anybody who doesn't? Oh, you don't, Slacks? Oh,
I don't.
Oh, let's hear it.
I don't ever want it to go free to play. I come from Team Fortress 2, baby. I remember the greatest gameplay ever was before free to play, and then they killed that goddamn game with free to play. Even though it still has an active fan base, I believe more active than current Artifact. However, the quality nosedived. All right, but I made a lot of wrong decisions about the things that I loved about Artifact. I love cheating death. I love that it costs money. I love that there was no grind. And apparently I'm the opposite of what most human beings like. My favorite game of the entire year is Fallout 76. I have problems. So maybe I got issues. Don't do what I say.
For future reference, do not take Slacks' advice on anything, essentially.
I mean, not true. I'm just years ahead of everybody else.
All right, before we move on to actual topics, I just want to ask about this free-to-play thing. Because I genuinely don't, like, until you mentioned that, it wasn't really even in my head that they were going to do that in the next couple years, even, honestly. But if they did, let's say they come out with free-to-play tomorrow. It's not going to happen, obviously, until they actually come out with some features that will maybe not make people so angry that have already bought it. But let's say it becomes free-to-play tomorrow. Do people that purchase the game have a reason to be angry?
If it does tomorrow,
they be fine?
Yeah.
Oh no, we couldn't let the Artifact community be angry. Oh no.
I mean, so if they literally were to do it tomorrow, people would be angry, and I think there would. It's sort of irrational on one hand, but they're sort of right to be, because like there's this like contract between players and devs, and like we all know that a lot of games go free to play. I think that there's a lot of obvious signs that Artifact will go free to play in the next like few years, but if it happens in like 2 weeks after launch, then people will feel like they got scammed.
Right. Yep. I kind of agree with that. I don't know how long it would take for them to want to go free to play though. I have no clue.
Like 12 or 18 months.
I think so.
Okay.
I think we're a ways away from something like that. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, nobody wants the game to die, but then again, I'm not sure that Valve sees the Artifact as, I mean, it could have been a lot better. They sure sold a lot. The market sure sold a lot on the first day. I'm sure they already paid for the investment. So who cares? I mean, it'd be nice if the game did well. But as far as they're concerned, got passion people that are working on it. So why make it free to play? Why not just keep the quality high?
I look at it kind of like myself as a game.
Yeah.
Premature. I didn't die when I was birthed. Okay. I was premature. And yeah, I got off to a little rocky start. But eventually I grew up into a nice young man that became obese and on the verge of diabetes. But I'm healthy enough to go on. Okay. I don't know where I'm going with this, but let's begin the actual podcast topics that we have to go over.
Nice intro. 10 out of 10.
Beautiful topic.
First, I want to kind of segregate these a bit. Artifact 1.1. So the patch that came out a few weeks ago at this point. How long ago was it, actually? Early December?
It was a while. We tried to have you do the podcast that day, but you refused until
that was
today.
The second patch that you wanted me to do that. So 1.1
anyway.
Came out with new Call to Arm decks, so Death from Above, Dark Aggro, and Random. They came out with leaderboards for Call to Arms, which I played a bit. I'm top 50 in one of the decks, guys. I know, very impressive stuff.
Oh! Holy shit, top 50 global.
Global. They came out with automated open tournaments, which are common only right now. Chat wheel, which is probably the thing we're going to talk about the most. And bot gauntlets / colorblind mode. So out of these features, what did you guys think of that patch? First and foremost.
Well,
I mean, I like.
Okay, so
I like the social features. I mean, it feels It feels nice that you can kind of like, emote to your opponent. There's a lot of funny things you can do. Slacks is a memer. I'm sure he was messing around with, just like there's just funny memes you can do in having your units kind of like talk to the opponent, even outside of just being a dick, right? But
sure,
it's just a small improvement.
That's
the
only reason that Slacks plays Pugna right now. It's because that one line.
It is absolutely true. In every deck, I'll kill you, hurt you, break. I just spam it until he stops. But I mean, I think that it doesn't sound like it was a big addition, but in the beta we had this chat wheel thing, and I told the devs very much so that it's the communication between two people playing that make it so fun. That's like what got me hooked in the game. I was kind of like wishy-washy when I started. I was playing around, but then when I started playing with SUNSfan on VoiceCom and Discord, and we were just shit-talking each other the whole time, I was in. And I'd never played a card game.
Is that true, though? Because you rage quit every time we did that. We stopped
yeah,
playing
but
together.
I mean, it was still memorable. I mean, it's a lot less memorable to just play against somebody who, for all intents and purposes, could be a bot. When the game first came out and there's no talking to someone else, I felt like I was playing against bots, even though, I beat that guy.
I mean, when I can hear your pain when you get cooed,
right,
and then the rage quit that follows, it really did feel good. It made my day.
I still fucking guarantee if there was a button that you could press when you go into Artifact and it opened up an invite for you and your opponent to open up Steam like voice chat, the game would be like twice as popular. Not a hard thing to say right now. But if I could click on one button and we both can hear each other's voices and talk shit, it would be so fucking good.
I feel like you'd have to kind of put your name in the hat to enter that program beforehand, right? It's not something that comes up. I mean, you'd have to toggle something in the options to enable, because I think a lot of people would not like that.
No, I mean, it just a little alert pops up and says your opponent would like to voice chat. Would you like to? And if you hit no, they can't say it again. It's just once per time.
Super toxic, Slacks. Not gonna lie.
It's not the fucking amazing. You just pop in and some guy's like,
so
fuck,
this might be,
and then you just shut it off.
This might be one of those instances where you are completely wrong and you're just the opposite of everybody else.
Yeah,
I think that's
like it's like the cheating death one.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Which we will get to soon enough. For me, the chat wheel obviously is the best part of this update by far. I had to. So in the beta they had the please hurry as just an option for every unit that I could do. That was much easier. But now I have to macro, like I have to hit a button that types out please hurry. It's a little slower, but it's still quite enjoyable. Don't give away what we did yesterday, Swim. But I will say one bug that I noticed is which is unfortunate for our VOD. In spectating, those custom messages do not come up. They end up just being normal voice lines, which is so sad. Very sad.
That's the worst.
So that should be at the top of the list for Valve to fix as far as bugs are concerned. Very important.
How about just spectating? I mean,
well, they have
replays.
They have some spectating. Yeah, I mean replays. They can't be far off because we had some version of that in the beta. So I'm expecting that pretty soon.
Sure.
What do you think of these automated open tournaments? So I played one. I only played once. You basically have to sit there and play for up to 3 hours. It's whoever wins the most games at that point. It's common only right now, which kind of dissuades me personally because I'm not a huge fan of the commons. What do you guys think of that concept of automated open tourneys?
I like the concept of automated open tourneys. The way they have it implemented right now with like the one you're talking about with like the time limit, like just try to win as much in 3 hours. It feels a little abusable. It feels like it incentivizes people to play a certain kind of deck, play a certain kind of way, and it's also like there's room for like your opponent to troll you by like roping and stuff like that.
Like you?
Huh? Oh no! What? No. I
you probably couldn't even win one of those tournaments because you take so long.
I probably not.
You'd win 2 games in that 3 hours.
Yeah. Some people just think slower than others.
Damn.
What are you trying to do?
Sound like a sick insult what you said about yourself. So
yeah, I'm just a slow thinker.
That's not true. I want to know the real reason why you take so long. Because you're not a slow thinker. You're very eloquent. You're very witty. You're extremely quick to come up with retorts. But you can't think about a turn 1 play when you literally can play one card.
You have to think like 3 turns ahead.
All right, we'll get into this some other time. In terms of the rest of the 1.1 update, what did you guys? Anything that stand out to you for that one?
Cat is gigantic. Holy shit!
My cat?
Oh. Yeah.
Pookie, yeah, she's a little fat. She's a little chunky.
Pookie,
she had
a bender. Pookie looks a lot different than the last time I saw Pookie.
She has hip dysplasia, so she can't move as well as the other cats. But we're on medication now, so she's okay. She's doing better. She's just a little. She's not enormous. She's just a little
okay.
chunky.
Listen, like, yeah, I'm not like, you know.
Don't listen to him, Pookie. You're the best. All right. Anywho, so that was kind of the small-ish update we can call it compared to the massive one that came out a couple weeks later. I think I'm way off on my times. I think it was literally 1 week later, and this was last
1 week.
week.
Yeah, 1 week later. That's correct.
Okay, so the first update was 2 weeks ago. This one was last week. Okay, so Artifact 1.2. First things first, they added account leveling and a reward. Let's just go one by one because these are pretty big. Account leveling and a reward system. So that's like the levels that you get on the bottom left for just playing the game. What do you guys think of this implementation?
Slacks?
I was wrong. I said that, I believed in Artifact's original journey. We don't have to grind, okay? We could just enjoy a solid game. And I gotta admit, I've been playing a lot more since I got to see that little bar go up. Fuck me, dude. 3 XP, oh boy. I better grind. So, I mean, they got me. We're gamers. We get addicted to that stuff. So I have to say, I think that was great. The account leveling, as far as the reward system, I don't play anything but constructed. I don't give a shit about that stuff. Forget draft. Forget all that garbage everyone else plays, so I don't know anything about it. But give the kids what they want, I guess. Whatever. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I like I like that they're like, responding to the community feedback and adding these things. The progression system, in terms of the leveling, I think it's pretty cool. I like how there's a lot of different XP bonuses you can do. A problem with it I have is like somewhere in the delivery of it having like the bonus, the huge bonus amounts like 3 times a week or whatever, feels like something could be adjusted there. My biggest problem though is with like what is currently implemented in terms of the ranking system. It seems pretty bad.
We'll get to the ranking system in a second.
Okay.
For now, it's just account leveling and rewards. Okay, don't get ahead of yourself there, buddy.
I like it for the okay. I like it for the most part.
Okay. Now, I will say one thing that feels it's pretty slow.
I think so.
I think it's fine because this one does not reset. This is your account, right? So it's always going to be that level.
Sure, but I would assume every time that they do like card updates and stuff, like when they make updates to the game, there's going to be like new profile pictures and higher levels and stuff, right? They're probably going to, I mean, this isn't lifetime of, I'm going to be fucking Keith the Bold level 12 for the rest of my life, right? Yeah, so I think it's a little...
the discrepancy, I agree with Sun. The discrepancy between like that weekly bonus and then every other XP bonus is pretty huge. It feels kind of like if you... What is it? You're on a win streak, you get 10 XP, and it doesn't matter how many wins you're on. You can be 2 wins, you can be 20 wins. It's the same XP bonus, which is weird. That should definitely be stacking. Perhaps it would be good. I mean, I don't have a problem with how fast or slow it actually progresses overall, but it doesn't feel great to get 3 experience for something because that's literally nothing, right? So I'd say inflate the numbers. You can still take as long to actually progress, but that would be my only complaint about that. I think this is obviously just an early implementation because they weren't planning to put this in anyway, right? So this is like literally 2 weeks they put it together, and for that time frame, I'm very impressed. I like it a lot.
And then they went on vacation, so I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of different like things going on. But I will say, flesh it out. I think X2, X3, X4 for how many games you win is great. I like the random things like all 2 of your towers or 1 of your tower died and then you won, you get a little bit of points, but those are fun when there's a shitload of them. So they need to keep adding them and they need to keep making it interesting. I'd like to see.
Other thing. I want to see the list of all of them. There's nowhere to look at what the bonuses are ahead of time.
I think there is. I think there was a Reddit thread and it had 10 of them or something, and it was just all of the ones.
So I need to go on Reddit to find it out. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You don't see a problem?
No.
There's just no other choice.
Might as well just put Reddit in the game. Just make it easier so I can just do it.
No, I think that's fine that the game doesn't tell you what the bonuses are, because then it's kind of neat. Like you're playing and you're like, oh, I didn't know that, if I did this, I got points. That's pretty fun. But I don't know. It'd be fun to have like weekly ones, like Debbie's get X2 or something and construct it or something.
One of the bonuses that they advertised is I think like a flawless something where no heroes die for you. How is that possible to not lose one hero in a game? That seems really difficult.
That better be a lot of. That better be a lot.
That's
of
six.
It's
6
10
XP.
experience.
I'm sure it basically just happens when the opponent concedes, like in the early game. There's it's very hard to allow that to happen otherwise.
That's true.
Maybe that round 140 damage shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
So about what you were saying just now, Slacks, about like the idea of like these weekly bonuses, like, you know, if you play Debbie, you get a certain amount of XP. This has been tried in a lot of other games. Like I think a few card games have tried these sort of kind of thematic universal bonuses. And something that can kind of occur is that the ladder kind of gets a little like oversaturated with certain things. Something I think would be really cool though is a very, very similar idea, but like tailored to each person. Sort of how Hearthstone has like the daily quests, right? Instead of like that exact thing, just like each person gets like a random, like, you know, you get a bit more XP if you do this, right? And that way, like, keeps just the balance of the ladder a lot more diverse.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but I think the idea is great.
Yeah. All right, I like it. So it's more client side rather than the entire game side. I think that's a smart way to go about it. Cool. All right, but yeah, I hope that they go more into this and have more kind of just funny things for us to challenge ourselves with and want to play and want to do the grind. So just like a regular video game now, which is good.
he doesn't like it, SUNSfan. Slacks is too good to play regular video games.
He's finally coming back down to earth. He understands what the masses want now.
Yeah,
at least I hope so.
Yeah, it's what we all wanted.
How are you on cheating death these days, Slacks?
Hey, hold on. We're gonna get to that. All right, don't jump the gun again, Swim.
Okay,
You're a real fan of that. Let's go back to what you jumped the gun on earlier, which is the skill rating for constructing and draft. So you can start us off since you seem very passionate about this subject.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think like I can go on the record saying I kind of hate it. I think it's
hate it.
Yeah, no.
Strong word.
Yeah, no. I know. My mom always used to say, "Hate, Swimmy boy, hate is a really strong word. You can't just say that."
Why would she call you that? That's the real question. Anyway, move
on.
Swimmy boy, please.
It's short for Swimithy.
Swimithy.
So yeah, it's I don't like it for sure. It feels like it's not really doing a great job. It rewards high amount of play more so than actual win rate, and it feels like I think Overwatch Season 1 had like a similar kind of fairly awkward rating system before they improved it in some ways. But I'd like to see something that is more reflective of like an elo based system, like Dota 2 has the MMR. Something closer to that.
I think that's pretty much
there's no down ranking, right? Is that the problem? Do you want there to be down ranking?
Yes, I think so. Personally,
because there's no down ranking in Dota.
Not anymore.
No, they put what is it called? A floor.
Yeah, basically,
once
like
you get a badge, you can't go under that badge anymore. But you have to win 5
no
times
matter,
to get it up.
You can't also improve unless you go past where you were before, right?
Yeah,
so.
right.
If I'm 5,000 MMR, I drop down to 4,000. It will still say that I'm like divine, but I'll never be better than that.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And Cyborg Matt is in chat pointing out that Artifact does in fact have an MMR. It's just like it's separate from the actual player skill ranking. So when you lose games, it's still going to pair you fairly against players that you have this like MMR for. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe this is just like a better way to do it. But it feels still kind of alien to me, personally.
I think that you have some good points, because a lot of the good players don't seem to like this system very much, whereas a lot of the scrubs...
Well, I love it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it feels like higher level competitive players need a better way to show that, like, you know, I'm actually good. And I want to be against good competitors and stuff like that. People that are actually on my level.
That's what tournaments are for.
There's different ways that can be implemented. I could definitely see a way that can be implemented outside of like an actual just shown elo based system, with some kind of leaderboards. Like I'd definitely like to see them implement some form of leaderboards, which they already have in the Call to Arms. You know, SUNSfan mentioned he was top 50 there.
I mean, I'd be shocked if they don't do that. I think that's something coming for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of Artifacts things is like, they should really have this. Well, they're probably going to have this. So, but talking about it don't hurt, right?
I didn't get to grind truly until yesterday when I streamed. And it felt pretty good leveling up every 2 wins. Like literally every 2 wins, I got a level, which seems to be the common trend until you get to a certain point. I've heard once you get to the upper like 50s, 60s, which is a few people at like 70 right now, which is insane. I think the max is 75. Then you have to win like 3 to 5 games to rank up.
Jesus.
So it is interesting. I think it's too small a sample size for me to really give it a true rating per se, but it felt good on my end to finally get to grind, which I haven't said for any game in my entire life because I never played WoW. I could never get into WoW because of the grinding, but I don't have a problem with grinding artifacts. So, do have one question though. So obviously there's a skill rating for constructed and draft that are separate, but those ratings are shared for the non-prize play version. What do you guys think about that? I'm not saying they should put 4 ratings in the game, but is it not easier to play standard play? I just assume it is. I'm not even 100% sure.
I mean, you would think so, that people would be like super tryharding during prize play and all that stuff. But just because people are tryharding doesn't mean that they're, particularly better. I don't think so. I think it's not a big deal. But that's just me. I will say though, one thing that they don't have swim in Artifact that they do have in Dota is that the top people have a numeric value based on where they are in the world. And I think that would make a huge improvement for top tier people to continue playing. If they could say like, hey, I'm the fucking best in the world at Artifact, that's huge. That's also really good for building community too. A lot of guys in the Artifact community don't really know who to watch.
Exactly.
Because they don't know, like, this guy's really good. What's like his ethos? What's like this proves that he's good. For in Dota 2, you have like, oh, well, you can see right here, Arteezy's literally #1 in NA. He's the greatest streamer. So having stuff like that, it is good for community building. So should definitely be in there. Because what the fuck does I'm level 69 mean? Who cares? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a fair start. It depends kind of how they end up, fine tuning the system. It definitely feels incomplete to me though, and we'll have to see what they end up adding to it.
All right, not.
I do know.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say. I mean, I believe Life Coach was saying it was kind of one of the reasons he was taking a break, which was like the ranking system just didn't really feel great to him. And I want to say, like, for a lot of the players that kind of are clamoring for this sort of like ranking system or leaderboards or MMR, it's not really about like this idea of like being elitist or flexing on like, showing off how good you are. It's more about just personally wanting to see that in a way that's more meaningful to you, right? Like, it's not just when you win you go up and when you lose it kind of stays the same. It's like, these like incremental increases based on like, you win some and then you lose some, and just kind of being able to just look at that personally yourself.
All right. And I think
that's a large motivation.
Yep. The high level players want to play against other high level players too. So they want to know if this guy, like, how good is this guy? The more that they can do with this, the more interest that it's going to get. I very much would like to see a lot more stuff about your profile. If people can have a little screen that says, this is the decks that he plays the most, with the little graph and like, customization. I'm sure it's all coming, but quicker the better, please. That'd be great.
Right, here's a random question for you guys that just came to me.
Sure.
Do you think that Artifact would have had as much... it's a dumb question because I know it wouldn't have had. How much of a difference would it have made if Artifact released as a beta?
A big difference.
Like as a pre-release... what do they call that thing? Not pre-release. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Early access?
Early access. Something to that effect. Kind of like what Dota had for literally a year. Over a year even?
Wasn't it?
No, that was years. That was like 4 years.
3.5 years, yeah.
Yeah. So anytime you can talk shit about Dota, like, hey, we're in beta, bro. Like, what do you expect? You know what I mean? You have that fallback.
Well, yeah, of course it'd make a difference, just psychologically, because people, rather than saying, why isn't this here, they say, this needs to be here, which is a big deal. So when your customer feels like their complaints are suggestions rather than their complaints are complaints, I think it's better for the dev team. It's better for all the customers. It's better for the overall outlook of the game. The original way that they came out with the game, not great, because these stances that we'll get into later are big point. But kind of messes with that fluidity. But I do see where they were coming from with that as well. They want to be like, hey, listen, this is it, and we'll change it later. But yeah, it's an odd system, and I think it bit them in the butt, and it's a lesson that the company won't soon forget.
So with that in mind, we can move on to, like you said, the biggest topic by far, the stance on balancing for Valve and Artifact. So for those that aren't aware, before this patch, I don't think was it ever officially like on record saying they were not going to balance that off? And I think it was. At least there was like a video clip, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't anything in writing, I wouldn't say, but the general consensus was that they would barely update, or barely change balance. I mean, if the beta was any indication, they changed, I think, 2 cards. They changed 2 rarities, and that's basically it, I think, over like an 11-month period or whatever it was.
They changed. I think they. I want to say
they deleted 1 card actually, as well.
Yeah.
Who do we lose?
Well, we can't speak of it.
Slacks, we can't say.
Slacks, leak it.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's good. That's good not to have that memory.
They're gonna put it back in the first expansion.
Yeah, probably. So their stance has completely done, like they've done a 180 now. So they're going to be balancing it very similar, I assume, at least it sounded like, to the way Dota does it, where you have, obviously these big expansions are equivalent to like these huge patches that you get in Dota that are like once a year, maybe twice sometimes. This will be however many times a year for expansions. But then in between, you're going to get incremental balancing changes, which, again, is not something we were expecting. What are you guys' reaction to that stance change?
Well, I'll just say, I mean, obviously, it was a good play. Because, like, we saw... I mean, literally everyone knew that Drow and Axe were the strongest cards in the game. And
that's
it was
not
just
true.
Reiterated.
Right. That is not true.
What?
In the beta, I'm like, Gust is the best card in the entire game. Not even close, okay? The best card. Some people, wait, where am I? Some people disagreed with that notion.
I just like when someone says the words like the best, it's hard. It's like I'm like
the best.
Like,
I was so adamant. All right,
that's all. It was very, very, very good.
Very good. Yes, it wasn't the best though. Yeah,
it's a nitpick. You're right though. You're right.
Slacks, continue. My apologies.
I mean, nobody could argue that Axe was not just the greatest card. I mean, that was it. If you ran a red deck without an Axe, boom. And I don't know. I mean, we all made fun of Cheating Death. We were all talking about all this stuff. We were all waiting with a bated breath for when Cheating Death actually came out so that we could see the horrible backlash. Got a little too horrible. We were all like, oh, this will be fun. I can't wait for the community to get upset. No, stop. But at the same time, the stance was that it's never going to change. We'll fix it later. We'll have other unique things to get it in later. And that could have worked, but I don't know. I think at the time, people were just like, well, this sucks. And then they just left instead of waiting it out. And I think it was that assumption that people would wait it out for the next expansion, which comes God knows how long, that was one of the big problems with the launch. So good to see that they're changing it around a little bit. I like being able to balance things. It makes it more exciting. It makes it be like, change the meta. I'm sure our next balance is going to be something's going to happen to mono blue.
Here's the thing. I'll let Swim talk in a second. We're going to get to the specific changes that were made so we can talk each one. I will say for Swim, this is probably the worst thing that could happen to him.
Huh?
Because he loves being this hipster that thinks bad cards are good and good cards are bad. So when things actually get changed, which they will continuously now on a consistent basis, he will be proven wrong time and time again. Swim, what do you think of that assessment?
I think that's pretty true. I mean, my stance, however, is the same as Slacks. I mean, it's a pretty universal stance. Like, it's a very good thing that they're kind of changing their position on this. And the most important thing is that I'm actually very happy that they showed that they're actually buffing cards. I was really surprised from this, right? So, like, I think it was kind of fairly obvious from the start. It would have been insane for Valve to never nerf cards, right? There were some like just major. There were some people on like Reddit and in the forums and stuff that were saying like, yeah, Valve's not going to change cards, which I think just like it's a weird thing to assume, but honestly, I expected Valve to kind of have the same stance as Blizzard and Hearthstone, which is just like a very sparse amount of nerfs to OP cards, right? The fact that they're buffing a few underpowered cards, even in some interesting ways, is I think a really pleasant surprise.
Yeah, they even introduced new things to help those cards, like Quick.
Hey,
that was...
don't get ahead of yourself. We're gonna get to the changes, you piece of human garbage.
Yeah, Slacks.
The fact, though, that they're willing to, this late in the game, added new components to the game, though, is extremely interesting to me.
Yes, of course.
You'd expect that from a large update. Well, no, just from balancing reasons, they show that they'll be able to change something like Lion to be... He still sucks ass, but he's still... It is
don't
a
get
nice
ahead of yourself.
I'm going.
Just speak in vague terms. You don't need to say Lion's name, all right? Don't say it. Don't say it again.
Don't say his name.
Lion will have a whole segment just for him.
all right.
What I really liked are the Bloodseeker changes.
How dare you? All right, we're getting started with the changes now. So Axe was the first change. 7-2-11 to 6-2-12 or 6-2-10. So a stat change. I was adamant all along that 1 damage makes the difference with this hero. And
huge.
He loses an HP, which is not nearly as big for me as the damage. The damage is enormous. And in fact, I'm seeing less Axe than ever before as a result of this. It's maybe more drastic than I thought it would be. Thoughts?
I'm a little bummed out. I have very swim-like tendencies. I own every card in Artifact but Axe because I thought it was funny. And now that he's like starting to fall out, I feel like I should just pick one up. I mean, I like having the...
It's cheaper now than
ever. I like
ever.
my little revolution.
Listen,
so.
I'm not that much of a hipster. Can we not just say... Can we not say swim-like tendencies? Like
swim-like tendencies? I
so
get
what
natural
do you think of the
coffees.
changes to Axe?
Moi?
Yes.
What?
Oh,
now, how good do you think he was before? Let's get that on record.
I would call him like a pretty good.
Okay, pretty good for swim is like almost at the top of the top, if not the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like the second highest ranking I can give to a card. It was a pretty good. I do think so. As SUNSfan put it, like 1 attack makes such a huge difference because the most important thing is like with red heroes, their attack is kind of their metric for being able to lock the opponent out of play options via Berserker's Call and Duel. And with 1 less attack, you lose the ability to lock out stuff like Drow Ranger, Ogre Magi, Zeus, a lot of heroes that have those health amounts.
Outward Devour now. Oh, sorry, spoiler.
Yeah.
Don't say his name.
So yeah, I mean it's a pretty major nerf. It's a lot bigger than it kind of probably looks at first. I think it's definitely kind of fair and warranted. Like Axe was a little too kind of auto include.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, this one should be an interesting discussion. Bloodseeker, his stats were changed from 7-6 to 7-7, and which means that Axe can't kill him. And Blood Rage, a signature spell, mana cost changed from 5 to 4.
Neat. I don't. What the fuck do you want me to say? I'm not a goddamn card balancer. He went down 1-1. Wow. I'm not playing him. I don't fucking care. I mean, 5 to 4 has got to be strong. I mean, Black doesn't have a lot of early game. I don't fucking know. Swim, take it. I don't play Black decks.
All right,
They're
I'll talk and then Swim can talk. We'll just do it. So Slacks doesn't have to say anything the rest of the episode. Obviously, he doesn't want to talk about balance changes.
What?
And that's literally
I
the rest
want
of
to
the
talk
episode.
about it. This is just the most boring. He lost 1 point. Who cares?
Yeah,
What's
but we
the
saw
big
how
deal?
drastic that is for Axe, but I don't think this change is drastic enough for Bloodseeker. So his problem... Now, I won't put him in the same level. Like, pre-patch, OD, Lion, I think are the 2 worst heroes in the game. I know Swim's going to disagree with the Lion one. That's fine. But Bloodseeker... No. Oh, okay. Bloodseeker was not quite as bad. He was pretty, like, he's close, but he's not quite as bad as the other 2 because he can at least stay in lane and just, kill creeps. He can do something. His card is worthless. Making it 2 mana, he still becomes worthless. I don't think the mana change makes any difference. 7/7 is much nicer, though, I will say, stats-wise.
What's so wrong with Blood Rage, dude? It's nice.
It's horrible.
It's cool.
Horrible card.
What's wrong with it?
What's the worst signature card than Blood Rage? Oh, OD. We'll get to him later.
No, Keith the Bolds. Right?
Yeah, but he's a basic here. I'd rather play Keith than Bloodseeker. So What does that tell
Well,
you?
me too. Not much. Keeps badass.
All right. Does this change anything for Bloodseeker, Swim?
In constructed, I don't think so. Like some people have kind of thought about, trying to slot him into some stuff. In draft, I think it does. Like he's a common hero you can see in draft, and maybe you could consider, flopping him over something like Debbie. But I mean, losing that to attack is a little rough. I still think I like Debbie over Bloodseeker.
Bruh. If Bloodseeker's Blood Rage just gave that unit heal after you killed somebody, great card. Great. Think about that, huh? You kill somebody that's affected by Blood Rage, they heal up based on the HP of the enemy. Oh! Dang.
So it's for units that are not Bloodseeker, is what you're saying. So Bloodseeker doesn't want to put this on himself because he already has that in his passive.
Wait, am I confused? The fuck are we talking about here? Right, I gotta look this up here. I thought you guys were shit talking this signature card.
Cheating Death, mana cost changed from 5 to 4. And obviously, we all know what it used to do. Now it has an active of 1 cooldown, and it gives a single unit a death shield for that round, and can only be used if there's a green hero in the lane. So presumably, you would use it on the green hero in a lot of the cases.
Wait, what? I was right. Silence a unit, give 4 attacks. So if it did that and then it healed, if he killed him, isn't that dope?
My point is, then it becomes...
I think that would be dope.
Sure, that's great. All right, Cheating Death. What are our thoughts?
Oh, can I talk about new Cheating Death? This card is so fucking.
You're up, Slacks.
I was so angry when they said that they were gonna do some changes. I was like, do whatever you want, just don't touch Cheating Death. Don't listen to them. It's fine. I love Cheating Death. Don't touch it.
Slack.
And then they did not respond. And I thought I was going to be so mad when
they didn't respond to your countless emails.
I showed you my Cheating Death nerf. Please respond.
They were like, I was very scared. I thought they were just going to remove it from the game. I was scared. But yes, I think the new Cheating Death is so sick. I love it. The Death Shield mechanic. You do lose a turn with initiative and all that shit, but boom, you can put it on enemies. Woo!
Wait, you can put on enemies?
Yes. Oh. So if you have a low HP guy in a dead lane, and they want to move lanes and they're trying to kill themselves, you can prevent them from moving. If they don't,
very fringe case, but I like it. Yeah.
Fringe my dick, dude. That shit's hype. Oh, green is always in lane 1. Just making sure no one can leave the lane. It's torture. I love it. Anyway, new Cheating Death. Brilliant. I think it was a very cool way to make the card not RNG, more skill based. Is it good in pro games? Who knows? But it's more of even more of a meme card than it was before now. I enjoy it.
Swim.
I think it's interesting because most of what this effect is constructed, like it was a rare card in draft before, it's still pickable in draft. In constructed, it basically went from like a top tier, one of the reasons to run green, counter blue, to basically it's not really you're not going to see like top tier decks run it anymore. So it has kind of this meta implication of maybe basically making blue a bit stronger, and that's kind of something a lot of people are saying. Like that's part of why blue is kind of so strong right now, because there's not really an inherent counter to it. I do like the idea of the change in general, but it does feel like there is some kind of this niche of this like proactive card. Like Cheating Death by design, it was almost sort of like Green's initiative card, like in terms of how it impacted the board. Because of course Green doesn't have an initiative card, but it allows you to not have to care about initiative, which is kind of like how it was supposed to play for that. And of course the actual implementation I think was kind of cancerous. Like the 50% chance thing definitely needed to be changed. But I'd like to see like something kind of something that allowed it to like play proactively without needing initiative in a totally different implementation.
Like quick, the quick should be on Cheating Death.
Don't you spoil that.
I mean, no, sorry, not quick. What's the thing that gives you initiative back?
Initiative cards?
Yeah, what do they call that effect?
Just initiative.
Oh, it used to be called Quick.
It used to be called Quick. Yeah,
Spoiler.
very early on.
Confused.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Slacks.
Okay.
Slacks. We're out of beta, and he's still leaking. He won't stop.
What?
So
Sorry.
They obviously had to change cheating death in some way, right? And they did.
No,
the ramifications are mono blue reigns supreme, which is unfortunate for all of us that don't like watching mono blue, but it was a necessary thing that we had to go through, right? This is some growing pains, and eventually that will be nerfed in some way as well. I want to take this next one if you don't mind, because I'm very passionate about Drow Ranger. So she was nerfed because she had the best signature card in the entire game. Notice that Axe.
The entire game.
Notice that Axe's signature card didn't change, just his stats, right? Drow, though, dear boys and madams, Gust has been changed to only silence an enemy hero and its neighbors. Praise be to Gaben or whoever's balancing this game, because Drow Ranger is no longer an auto-include because of this, and something else that's coming up shortly that we'll talk about. Thank you, God. I do have one question, though, because the way that I read this, and I haven't tested it out, you can technically silence creeps now, right? You select a hero. The way that it says, it says silence an enemy hero and its allied neighbors that surround. So if you silence like a drow, because I really want to silence Joss.
Drow's on your mind.
And an emissary is next to her, it should silence the creep now too, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a buff.
It's great.
So OP. I mean, that was
fringe.
great.
Hey, that's a fringe-ish. That's less fringe than yours. Way less fringe.
All right.
Than cheating death an enemy. Are you kidding me? And I like that idea. All right. Anyway, so Drow has been. Is she in the dumpster? How bad is Drow?
No. She's not in the dumpster. She's actually like still one of Green's best heroes. I think you're right. She's not maybe auto include anymore, but she's still like one of the top 3 or 4 heroes in Green. The biggest problem.
Excuse you, Jesus.
Sorry.
Oh, by the way, I just heard the echo. It is Slacks because you muted your mic.
No, he didn't.
I've got an alibi, Slacks.
No, he didn't.
So I think the Drow nerf is actually quite interesting. I mean, she's still running green decks. When you nerf an auto include card that's still going to end up being good, it's almost more a nerf to the color or the decks that are running it than the card itself, right? Like you look at Drow and Axe, these are cards that got nerfed but are still good. And it's sort of a nerf to the decks that run them, because the card is still going to see play. In fact, it's still going to be maybe not auto include, but still one of the top slots for that color. But it feels like green, and now there's definitely a lot less of a reason to kind of go out of your way to play green in your constructed decks. Still great in draft, of course.
Yes, but Gust is no longer this just take your hands off the keyboard. Positioning matters a lot. Obviously, if you have 3 heroes next to each other, then it works effectively the same as before, but you do have some choices to get around that. So next one, which is another.
May I make a comment?
Oh, please, yes.
I wanted to make this on cheating death, but I think as a viewer, RNG is fun. As a viewer and as a player, it's miserable. Cheating death was my favorite card ever because as a viewer, it was extremely fun to watch. Can we now, since we're against having fun, please fucking remove the bounty hunter thing with the 11? It makes me so angry, and I hate that RNG. Please. Get rid of Janata. For the love of God, do something about Janata.
You don't like Janata?
I fucking hate that card.
You hate Janata?
Yes, it's a terrible feeling when you're playing bounty and you don't get the 11, and when your enemy has him and he does, and it changes. I fucking hate that card.
SUNSfan, our boy here is anti-Janata and he's pro-cheating death.
Yeah, well, I'm saying if you're going to kill cheating death,
he thinks that because one RNG card was nerfed, that every RNG in the game should be nerfed, which I disagree with. Bounty Hunter's fine. Nobody cares about Bounty Hunter. You see anybody raging about Janata in the chat? Nobody. Okay?
I'm raging about Janata.
I think that the next on the chopping block is definitely Ogre and Mage Jack. Especially now that Blue is getting more time in the limelight.
No.
I personally don't have a problem with that with multicast if Blue is just not as powerful in general. Like that can be nerfed in other ways, but
I agree.
That's another story. Jasper Daggers, gold cost changed from 7 to 5. It used to just give 2 attack and pierce. Now it gives 2 attack, pierce, and a new effect, a new mechanic, if you will, called equip effect. It's a keyword. It will purge your opponent's effects from your equipped hero.
Oh.
So drow, silence, even the worst silence now, it doesn't matter. You get unsilence. You have... This is only the third purge in the game, I believe, but it's available to every color as opposed to the 2 that were only for green before. Thoughts on Jasper?
I mean, this is quite obviously the most significant change that has come out. I think it's even above the hero changes. I think this changes the entire state of the game. For better or worse, I don't know. But even I, who doesn't have any items besides 25 gold items in all of my decks, have this stupid-ass thing in there now. I mean, you get sucker punched, you throw this bitch down? What are you kidding me, dude? It's crazy.
Sucker punch?
Swim.
You're counting sucker punch at this?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's very pivotal moments, and for 5 gold, you can cancel out someone else's card. That's crazy.
So
that's not
something I didn't really think about until recently, because Purge, the way that it works, it's enemy effects, right? So if you stun yourself with like Glyph of Confusion, which we're seeing a lot more from Blue these days, it does not actually work against, which is kind of hilarious. Because your first like intuition is like, oh, it should unstun me every time, but it's not the case at all if you stun yourself. But yeah, I really like this item. Super cool.
I mean, this is just an auto include for 2 players, right? Swim, am I crazy? Or is this super
it's the best mono blue decks right now are not running Jasper Daggers, but I think that's probably the only deck in the entire game that is not running at least 1 copy of this card. So it's pretty fair to call it an auto include. I think it's a complicated issue. I like the idea of it. I think it's really cool in theory, but I think it has a kind of unhealthy impact on a large part of the game in general, because there's so many cards in the game right now that that this counters, right? There's almost too many cards that this idea of this really cheap purge plus of course the piercing, that there's too many cards that this counters, right? And in doing so, I think it has a limiting effect of these cards' ability to see play when you assume that all the top decks, because right now everything except for mono blue is pretty much running at least 2 Jasper Daggers. You see like Beastmaster signature card, the Roar, Bloodseeker Silence. We were talking about Bloodseeker earlier. OD, we haven't gotten into yet. Crystal Maiden, Frostbite. You've got the Disarms. You've got you've got the Gust from Zhao. All the different silences. Like the list goes on and on. Earthshaker, Tidehunter, and there's a lot of cards that kind of were on the brink of seeing play. I think Tidehunter is a really good example of that. Like Tidehunter was kind of on the brink of being like this real competitive card, and it feels like Jasper Daggers really hurts his ability to get there, because the difference of just like, you see your opponent has a Tide, you just buy Jasper Daggers in the early game and then just wait until the Ravage comes down and counters it.
Yep, that's true.
I think they should just change it to just affect silence. If you're stunned, I think that should be different. If you put a freaking knife on a stun guy, he's still stunned, he's still
so you want
dead
them
on
to
the
change
ground.
the entire mechanic of Purge?
Yeah. Well, no, it should just be a new thing.
That's what I think of that.
Okay. I mean, I think Swim's right. The fact that I still don't know why items are included in silence anyway, but I think that these things need to mean something. A stun needs to mean something different than a silence, and a silence needs to mean something different than all this other shit.
I feel like that goes down the road of what Dota used to be like, where there were so many different mechanics that were kind of similar, but slightly different. And it just makes it too big of a learning curve for people. I think adding that kind of stuff is going to be a mistake.
It
starts at 2, then it gets to 4, then it gets to 8. It keeps doubling itself, Slacks. That's how the world works. Okay?
Stun, disarm, silence. Are there any more?
All right, moving on. We got Leon. Finger of Death has been changed slightly with a new keyword called Quicken, which will reduce the cooldown by 1, but not below 1. So every time that Finger of Death goes off, it'll reduce the cooldown by 1. This, for me personally, changes nothing about this hero, because he gets off 1 finger anyway. And it's not like, I feel like when you play this hero, first his body is the worst. 6'5", he's just meat. Just kill him over and over and over. And you use that Finger of Death. And it's never like I'm like, oh, I'm 1 turn away from my second finger. It's going to make a huge... The game's over, like way before that. Way before that. So it's cool to see this, though. I like the change, but I don't think it changes anything for Lion right now.
Yeah. So the way it ends up working, you're completely right. The first finger is on mana 7. as it always was. But now with Quicken, the second figure can come down as soon as mana 10, the third finger and mana 12. But I mean, the game doesn't really usually last until mana 10, right? And especially with black. This is a black hero, and black is just like the most aggressive non-stall color, typically. So it does feel like this has a hard time making an impact.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was. I think that this would be very useful on a lot of other heroes, like Pugna, who's garbage. But if he had Quicken on like a Ward, that'd be great. Very cool.
How do you have Quicken on a signature?
No, he's talking about the skill.
Oh, the blast. Yeah.
The blast.
Another
blast.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But I think the mechanic's really cool. I think Lion is garbage. Still. I mean, he's still funny. His card is just so stupid.
Why not just give him 1 extra health? Huh? Just 1. He needs it.
It's too much.
He needs
too much for Lion, dude.
So the other hero that's considered the worst in the game is Outworld Devourer, whose base stats have changed from 4/6 to 4/7. So he doesn't die to axe, and that's about it, right? Does anybody? You were the biggest thing is he kind of liking this hero a bit a few weeks ago. I don't know if it's changed.
I unironically almost brought this hero to Seed Story Cup in my deck.
Damn.
I would love to see that.
And there are some like pretty good mono blue players that right now are kind of like experimenting with Outworld Devourer.
Okay.
The 1 health makes a really big difference. I mean, the biggest reason that Earthshaker was kind of seeing play for a while in earlier versions of mono blue is because he has 7 health, and the big thing with that is at any cost, your hero is able to nuke the board and then kind of survive with that. 7 is a huge deal for OD, but I would say the biggest problem with him is, I mean, he may have this 1 extra health, but now that Jasper Daggers is in the game, your opponent sees you're running OD. They just hold on to daggers that they buy early until you drop an Astral on them, and then their hero just gets unstunned, and it feels kind of a lot worse.
All right.
Yep.
Theory crafting here for a second. So compare Ogre Magi to OD. All right, 1 less attack, same HP. Passive for Ogre is way better. Signature for Ogre is way better. What if? How much of a difference would it make? Because OD's signature card is kind of like this double-edged sword. There's always a negative effect, right? There's almost no cases where it's just plain good. It's always the negative effect coming out of it, as opposed to like an actual double edge from Centaur, which can be used offensively or defensively, it's still a bit of a risk, but you know exactly what's probably going to happen. What if Ogre Magi's passive was in OD instead? Would OD see play? So if you swap their passives, just out of curiosity,
that goes against the lore. That's like saying, what if Crystal Maiden
I'm just wondering
had Lena's abilities?
How big of a difference is this passive for, like, if OD had a good passive, would that change things for him?
If you swapped their passives, I guarantee you OD would see play.
Okay. So
multicast is kind of busted.
We need a new passive for OD. That's his issue. I'm okay with this card being kind of weird,
I don't think so. I think his signature card get changed. People think OD's passive is worthless because for some reason it has no animation, which people don't know when it goes off.
I thought you didn't like 50% RNG, Slacks.
I don't.
I thought he loved 50% RNG
on Bounty Hunter.
Only with the black hero. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
But anyway. I don't know. I mean, I think that it has the opportunity to make cool combos. I was thinking about a dank-ass Meepo deck with CM, OD, Meepo, and then you have OD and Ogre just spamming, and it's unlimited Meepos. Except then you have CM, Ogre, Meepo, and OD in your deck. So
put Lion in there, too, to get the extra synergy.
Just the extra fuck you. But anyway, I think it's cool, but something's got to change. He does suck ass. He's horrible. I've tried so many times. He's just no good.
If you can't get it to work, then nobody can, I think.
Indeed.
All right. Timber, so this change I love, and I haven't really gotten a chance to play around it. Timbersaw reactive armor used to be 1 armor for each of its attackers. And now it's the same thing, except anybody that is also attacking Timbersaw will have -1 armor, which in a lot of ways is a buff to Whirling Death, his signature card as well. So there's multiple buffs here for Timbersaw, who never sees play in almost any format, although I personally think was decent in draft if you have multiple red heroes. What do we think about this change? I personally love it. On paper.
Out of all the touches, I think this one's really cool. It complements the signature card. It complements his passive ability, and it makes other cards really, really good, like Taunt with the Timbersaw deck. It's fun, it's easy, and it helps a hero. Great buff.
Still not enough to kill creeps.
He said everything there is to say. Like, Timbersaw is a much better card in draft now. But I think the design of this change, like the change they did in particular, was probably the best kind of thing they could have done. They're kind of playing towards the hero's strengths, right? They're incentivizing you to run these like taunt cards, like Pick a Fight, which right now there's just not really a reason to run something like that. And maybe with Timbersaw and draft, you have a bit more of a reason.
All right. So those are the changes. We're gonna wrap up this episode with a couple. I want to talk about future changes that we all want to see, each respective person, if you have anything in mind. Then we'll briefly go over Seat Story Cup, just briefly, like 2-3 minutes tops, and then we'll wrap up the episode. So for future changes...
What about the drama?
Sorry?
Continue.
What drama?
We'll get into it.
Okay.
Wait, what drama?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Go ahead.
I'm looking forward to hearing this. Future changes. What do you guys think is something perhaps that other people haven't thought about that you would love to see in the game?
Oh.
If anything. I can start if you guys don't have anything in mind, because I have something very specific in mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I've been having a lot of fun with Artifact, as you guys know. I am not selling out because I'm not getting paid anything right now by anybody.
We would do it, though. Valve, if you're listening, pay us. I'll sell out.
There's only one thing that, and again, like going into the future, I'm very confident that things are going to get better and better as time goes on, because that's just how Valve does it. I've talked about this a million times before. One thing that they can implement tomorrow if they wanted to, which I don't know why they haven't, and it's the only thing that truly bothers me, is how long the games are. So I think tournament timer needs to be put into at least prize play. Any mode in prize play needs to have tournament timer. I am fucking begging you. These games.
Why can't you just do a turbo mode? Why can't you just have turbo mode? You're so fucking impatient, yet you want to wait 4 days to do a goddamn podcast, but you're so fucking impatient.
Because I'm busy playing my 8-hour games of Artifact, all right? I don't want to run to be 4 hours long because some idiot, on the other hand, like Swim, takes forever to make basic decisions. There's no reason you should have 1 minute versus 15. Is that a joke? There's no way that's a thing.
Let's have turbo. Why do we need to change the entire game to satisfy your patient ass?
Every tournament uses tournament mode. How's that changing the game? Okay, here's the thing. If you don't understand how to play, I understand. You need to take extra time. We play standard play where the timer will be the same as it is now. In prize play, I'm paying money, technically, to be put through this fucking misery of these 8-hour games with people like Swim that just can't make a decision. He's just jerking off in the background. I don't know what you're doing.
Sometimes I am.
I'm not surprised. I'm sure Drought turns you on. She looks like Rihanna. But anywho, tournament timer needs to come to prize play. I am begging you. It is the only thing that I truly dislike about the game right now. Everything else is just a minor, complaint. Everything else I'm very confident in.
I have decks that are designed around, hostage situation, making the game super long so the person quits and I don't have to beat them. I think that's funny. Why are you limiting it?
Do it in standard play then. I don't understand. What's your argument?
Well, it's even funnier if they paid for me to trap them in an 1.5 hour long game that they have to surrender from. That's fucking hysterical. Why are you trying to take that away? Why don't you just have a turbo mode where every single time the quicker you go, the more fucking bonuses you get.
You can have that in addition to it. All right. Anyway, just
SUNSfan, you should
talk about something.
You should just play 3 games at once, and that way, your opponents will each take 3 times as long to make decisions. And no, I mean, I'm serious. This will help your problem because you play so fast that if you play 3 games at once, then you'll be rapid firing these decisions. And
SUNSfan's just mad because he plays.
You won't ever have to wait like that.
Right. He has nothing to think about. He plays fucking PA. I wonder what I'm gonna do at level 6. I guess I'm gonna fucking coup 3 people.
Level 6.
Great goddamn thinking, SUNSfan. You're a fucking genius. Maybe if you played not PA, you'd have shit to think about. Okay. stupid.
There has to be more people that agree with me on this. I have a hard time believing. Like Slacks is always this contrarian, so I understand him disagreeing.
I'm not a contrarian. I fucking hate you.
I'm not a contrarian either.
And Swim is actually a big time contrarian as well, but also he goes very slowly, so I know he's against this idea. I feel like the majority of people that play prize play will agree with me on this. Tournament timer needs to be a thing, please. I'm begging you, please, please, please. All right, you guys, anything? Anything?
I got one. Go ahead, Swim.
No. Please, you first.
All right. More profile shit. I want to be the number one thing this game needs is more ways for us to make ourselves individuals and customize and do shit. That's what people want to do on the internet. They want to grind and they want to remove their anonymity and let people know how cool they are. All right. I want to see a profile page. I want to see cosmetics. I want to see this other shit. You guys think it's unimportant, but it really is. Having yourself an identity, something that you could build into, makes people more invested. Look at Sea of Thieves. That game is fucking garbo. But you know what they did? They had a lot of stuff with customization and a lot of ways to make your character important. And there are still people building that community and playing that game to this day because they have an investment into it of the person that they've built into that game. Give us more ways to do that. I want badges. I want profile. I want customization. I want hats. Sooner rather than later. Fuck balance. The nerds will stay for the balance. Get the normies with the customization, please.
Do you think people are going to play with imps having cosmetics?
Yes.
That's going to bring people in.
If you could grind and have a chance to unlock an imp hat, I guarantee your play would increase 5 times. If every game there was a fucking roll for an imp hat, you would
I'm
play
in,
more.
man. I love cosmetics. You know me. I'm a cosmetic.
These are
I want like a ghastly gibbous for my imp.
Exactly.
That would make me happy.
I mean, literally every game has that. Even Overwatch has, like, you play and you get every single time there's
$500 if I can upgrade the imp to have a voice that just repeats that says, please hurry, just over and over. I poke him, it says, please hurry to the opponent. $500, I would literally pay that.
You know, it'd be like the golden baby Roshan of this game.
Yes, that would be the most expensive cosmetic in the game. All right, Swim, anything?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this has been said a little bit before, but I would like to see probably more like combo potential and like synergy in Constructed. And of course, I assume this is something that's going to be, you know, being printed in the future expansions, because right now we're in the base set. But I feel like, you know, I'm usually kind of a more combo player in card games, and there's a lot of room for these like synergies to be printed where you can kind of like build strategy around. Because right now in Artifact, there's a lot of cards that you can look at them and you can think about building a strategy around them, but there's just not really real support for it yet. Like Ravenous Mass, a lot of Slacks decks that you've tried, right? Like, you know, the Grand Melee Cleave deck and stuff like Ravenous Mass. Like, I would just love to see more support being added towards these kinds of things.
I think there will be. In the future expansions, they're going to find the things that didn't work out and then make cards specifically to help those work out. I think that the next expansion is going to be the official launch of Artifact. I think it will be our big launch because shit will actually be there. There'll be excitement. There'll be things to do. Isn't that what happens in card game Swim every single time? It comes out, it's like the game's
like a new
re-release.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of curiosity, have you played your Ravenous Mass deck since the cheating death change? Because that could be interesting. Because it's guaranteed now.
Fucking amazing, dude! It's actually made it so much better. You put you put a Thunderhide Alpha next to a Ravenous Mass, and it's guaranteed to eat it every time. Holy shit! No more RNG. Woo! The other day, I had a Ravenous Mass in between 2 alphas, and I had 2 cheating deaths. That thing had 300 fucking health and damage, bro. It was incredible.
Did you lose?
It was a bot game.
Why is it always a bot game, dude?
It is where you practice. You don't want to just.
I've never seen anybody play against bots more than you. I don't understand how that works. I don't get it.
I love it. I love playing against bots. It's your training.
All right, we're going over our time just a bit here, but let's
hold on.
Please.
We got to talk about the drama.
Okay.
Are we going to talk about what people actually want to talk about? The exodus, the people that are sticking around, the fate of Artifact. Let's talk about it. Let's go for it.
I feel like every week there's like a new streamer that's leaving. It's like, I mean, there's very few of us left.
We're going to be the ones that are remembered for our sacrifice.
No,
I
I don't
mean,
think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so
Nobody gives
either.
a shit about us. I think I saw on a Reddit thread. I don't really read the Reddit very much because it can be toxic, although it's been better lately. I think there was a thread about people leaving and all these pieces of shit that did it for money, and we haven't seen any content from them. And I was somehow on that list. I'm like, what the what do you think? I've literally only been doing Artifact for 6 months. Like, what do you want from me? Jesus. But no, it'll come over time. I think the expansions will drive probably the most interest out of anything, along with the incremental balance changes. I
liked it. Now I know I'm a real bad person, but I liked the purge, baby. Let the weak be chafed, bro.
There we go again.
Let them go. Let them go, baby. We're here building something now together. And this could be our little project, the community that's stuck around and the people that still love the game. Because guess what? I don't care how many fucking people watch me play Artifact. No offense, Mr. Swim. But I'm,
What?
you know.
Wait, no, wait. Why are we talking about me now?
Nothing. I'm just saying. I don't
no
give
offense,
two
he said. All right, you shouldn't be offended.
Wait.
I'm just saying. I don't care how many
I miss him?
people. No, you didn't miss it. I don't care how many people fucking watch me. I don't care how many people watch my content. I don't care about any of that stuff because I'm passionate about the game. I just literally have fun playing the game. And when you come from a place like Dota 2, where people always want to get into this thing and they're like, how do I become an esports person and all this shit? And they're just trying to do something that they don't actually have fun with doing. It just has to be done. They're never going to last. And the chafe was good, in my opinion. Let the passionate people stick around because we're still having fun.
Why
and
are you
now we
calling
get
it the chafe. Do you
the
know what
chafe.
chafing is?
No. Is
Okay.
it the chaff?
All right.
What's the word?
I think we can move on to our final topic of the night.
No. Anyway,
it's the chain. It is the chain.
No. Anyway, the chaff.
All right.
Chafing is what happens like when you're really sweaty and you're
every time I go to the airport, anytime I travel, I chafe, and it's
oh
all
yeah,
terrible
no,
areas.
the chafing is real.
It's
How
really
many
bad.
people have been on the moon, bro?
Is that an
Not
actual
a lot.
question?
Not a lot, bro. Just because there's not a lot of people doing something doesn't mean that it's not magical. Okay.
According to Stephen Curry, nobody's ever been on the moon, so I don't know what to believe anymore. You know, some NBA player or millions of scientists over the course of the last 50 years. I don't know. That's kind of tough. Earth flat, Kyrie Irving. Okay, anyway. Seat Story Cup. Hyped wins with Mono Blue versus Petrify. Swim, you were at this tournament. You're going to have to... I'm not going to lie. The time zones were really bad, so I didn't really watch anything other than the finals. What was your experience like? And just talk about that briefly.
It was fun. I prepped with... we had like a little team going. Me, Hyped, Thangflast, and Shaggy. We're all representing Mono Blue Squad. We invited Tomas, but he didn't want to join us. But basically, yeah. I mean, I'm just happy like one of the four of us won. We all kind of prepped together.
Cool.
It was a
Who did you end up? What you got top 8, right?
Yeah.
And who did you lose to in the last?
I lost with the red black Lich deck.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. So okay. Interesting. So would you say your experience was cool? Like, how was the vibe there? Because from what I've watched, it looked very like loosey goosey, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, very casual.
No, it was good. It was very chill. Like people were just maxing, relaxing, having a good time. You know.
I'm surprised you traveled so soon after Ukraine. I thought you were done traveling for a while.
Yeah, honestly, it's
just had to get out of your house. I see the bag still right behind you. You haven't unpacked yet, it seems.
Yeah, no, I do still have that, huh?
Dang. Swim, can I ask you questions as a pro player?
What's up, man?
What's different than playing because like in other games, like non-card games, pros have to like constantly play to keep up their twitch movements and shit and keep solid. Whereas with you guys, isn't playing more games actually bad because you kind of numb yourself to what I don't know. I feel like I could play 4 or 5 Artifact games a day, and I feel like I'm getting a little shittier every game.
It can be. I think the biggest thing with card games is probably like going back and kind of watching your games. Like you will learn a lot more by just either watching your replays or even like watching replays with other pro players and like talking about plays together. Like when I'm prepping against Hyped, for example, we did a ton of prepping together, and we were kind of constantly asking each other, like I would have ignite. And I'm like, you know, would you ignite on this? Like, which lane would you ignite here? And just like kind of thinking about plays and coordinating, and just kind of seeing what other people would do. Actually, speaking of these like Twitch response times, I had a special bind for my tournament. I don't know if you know about this.
A bind.
So yeah, no. So I'm a hardcore roper. You guys know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I used the bee hopping logic from Counter-Strike, and I bound my pass button to my mouse wheel, so that whenever I get down to 0 seconds, I don't sweat it. I'm never gonna rope out because when I'm down to 0 seconds, I unlock my mouse wheel and I just let it fly, and I will.
You have a Logitech mouse or something like the free ball, yeah.
Exactly. So it's actually important for hardcore ropers because it doesn't show it on the interface, but whenever it's counting your time, it counts it by the millisecond. And every time you like spam spacebar to pass, you're like losing like 50 or 100 milliseconds on your clock every time. So if you're at 1 second and your opponent just equips like 5 items, sometimes you can just lose, right? But not if you have a mouse wheel bound to pass.
You know, as much as I'm disgusted by your play of roping every single fucking time, that's pretty genius. That is the Counter-Strike mentality with jump.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
I have to say that example that you gave is I take it back. Let's not work on the profile stuff. Let's fix whatever the fuck happens to make that scenario come out where a man is binding his mouse wheel.
What if you hit mouse wheel by accident though? Like when you're just playing normally without
you gotta be very careful about that. That's the risk. Because I showed this hyped at the tournament. I was like, yo, bro.
No.
Well, dude, I mean, roping on mono blue is real. Like all of the mono blue players at this tournament were down on like 5 seconds in many games. Hyped was down to 0 once. I showed this to Hyped at the tournament. We were prepping like on the first day before we played, and he tried a game with it, and he accidentally passed with it. And he was like, "Nah, bro, this is too scary for me. I can't do this. It's hard, dude. It's terrifying. You gotta. It's scary.
That's pretty cool.
That's
Jesus.
I like it.
You play with fire.
All right, so that wraps up this episode, friends. You guys want to say any final words before I give my outro on stuff that we're coming up with?
Yeah, I'll say some final words. I think that the Artifact community, although it is smaller now, I think it is a lot more positive. Keep that positivity up. Don't forget that now you guys are helping to build the game. The Valve philosophy has changed. This isn't the pile of shit that we're getting on a plate. You're able to go with the cooks and help with the kitchen. So, go ahead and make some stuff. I will say, though, support the content creators, all right? Every time I'm on any kind of Artifact thing, these guys got no views. I'm on the Reddit. They got 8 downvotes in the first 10 minutes, and it's something like fucking goofy.
Oh, I don't post content on Reddit. That's for sure. I'm staying far away from that.
Content is how communities grow, and you could try to, you could be as pissed off as you want of all the people that came in the beta and hyped it up and then left. You could be as mad as you want, but when it comes from ingrained organic people that are passionate about the game and trying to grow it by showing you content, do them a favor and help them out. I don't care about me. I'm talking about the littlest guys. You see somebody with 20 views on YouTube. Yeah, you see somebody with 40 subs on YouTube making Artifact content, go out of your way to help them out. That's the best way you can help the game besides, giving feedback to Valve. Grow the community by people that are passionate, that love it, and then we'll have a better community in the end. So stay strong, boys.
Well
and support
said,
the little guys.
No, that's really well said. I kind of want to add to that actually just a little bit. Sure. It's not about like the views or the money. It like I think it's really important for people that like are not even the content creators, but like the dedicated community members, people that want to spend the most of the time in the community. I think it's just kind of really important how, the state of positivity of things are. For example, part of the reason Mogwai was kind of saying he was leaving and moving to MTGA, I think, is because he was saying like, the negativity was just really starting to get to him. And I think we've all kind of felt that at times. Slacks, you get called out on the subreddit for being like a hardcore Valve shill like every day. And I wish. I think it's like, I don't know. A lot of people are just kind of like angry. It's a very dehumanizing job, I think, as well. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. A lot of people are just kind of extremely angry and looking for people to vent at. And I think that it's really that I would say like that's it. It's important to
kind of respect like the consequences of like, you know, how you act. Because I feel like the internet just turns us all into assholes, right? Like us included. But I don't know. It's really important to try to keep the community like positive.
No, I think that's a really good point. I mean, anonymity, excuse me,
anonymity
allows you to say, right. It allows you to say whatever you want. People take a lot of their anger out on just randos, but just remember that a lot of these guys that are coming into this community, they, you know, they're new at this, and some of them, you know, it hurts when they read comments like that. Personally, I love those comments. Send me more hate. That's
I think that's something to keep in mind. That again, we're from, and even Swim to some respect, from the Dota community. We do have thick skin I mean, I fucking grew up in the United States with the name of Shannon. I have fucking thick ass skin. Trust me. And it's not just because I'm obese now. I have thick skin. I can.
We're Thunder Hide Alphas, bro.
Thunder Horse Alphas. Thank you.
We're Thunder Horses. We love it. But, you know, guys that are from other communities and stuff, just support them. I mean, it's not, if you want the game to get better, you need to support guys like this. And it's the best way to do it. So, I don't know. I don't want to see something on new Artifact have fucking -4 after 5 minutes of being on there because you're angry at how much fucking Mono Blue sucks. That's not that guy's fault.
So this was not planned. I'm going to have to sell out here for a second, and it's unfortunate that you just said give content creators a chance, and I'm following it up. This was not planned, but I'm going to say it anyway. ArtifactCinema is a YouTube channel.
ArtifactCinema. This sounds interesting.
No.
We're coming out with some new content, guys. So Swim and I recorded something yesterday. Don't give anything away, Swim. Where it's called Draft My Deck, Episode 1. Each of us draft each other's decks, and we play a game, and we have a wager. So the loser has to tweet something extra nice about the winner. We can come up with some more creative stuff in the future. But that is how Episode 1 is it's gonna be posted probably tomorrow. And then Slacks and I have been talking for 9 to 10 months about doing content together in Artifact, and maybe he's gonna actually message me back so we can do it. Thoughts?
Maybe I will. Maybe I will. You know, since you're never so passive aggressive, I fucking hate you.
And
all right,
we probably don't have any good ideas either, so we could use some suggestions.
Remember our imp idea?
Oh, that's true.
Imp idea?
Yeah.
You're gonna dress up as imps?
Oh, we're not. I'm not spoiling that one.
We're not gonna spoil.
You guys. That's what I was gonna do. We have the same. We have the same idea.
We gotta get on this immediately.
All right, anti-sellout. Don't stick around with the fucking big boys. Go out there and look at the new guys. Support ingrown content creators, baby. Don't watch Deck Paseo. Watch some fucking meme deck shit.
You can't even pronounce your own fucking show.
Who cares? I never even heard the song till I started that show. It's terrible.
Is that actually true? You just use it for the name and nothing else.
Well, I just knew it was a meme, and I used it for the name, and then I heard the song, and I'm like, this is fucking awful.
That's a good closer. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're listening, of course, this is on a lot of different podcast stuff like Google and Apple and any company. I'm so bad at... Okay, we're going to end the show, as usual, in the most awkward way possible. Thanks to SirActionSlacks and Swim for joining me. Until next time, guys, have a good one. Goodbye.